What's going on? This is going to be my long-awaited view of my XSR900. We're going to start with the cons, and the biggest one by far is the twitchy throttle. Almost impossible to hold a steady speed without the bike jerking or getting out of a turn smoothly. The next con is going to be the quality of some of the parts, not all. Some of the parts are actually really well made, but others, like the little bolts and aluminum bits, they just corroded way too quick. Within the first year, they're already corroded. Now the next one, it's not really a con for everybody, but I guess it's for any rider who has a bike for more than 3 years. Some of the parts feel outdated. Again, this is a nitpick of mine for having my bike for 3 years, but I wish it had a quick shifter. There's no LED lighting, but again, this is not a 2020 bike. It's a 2016, and to be honest, I still love it. And the final con is going to be the stock brake pads. They felt really mushy, wooden. You had no feel at the lever. But after I switched them out to some double H sintered pads and I bled the fluid, they felt dramatically better. That was probably the biggest difference from my last bike that I had. I had a 2013 Street Triple R, and that had top of the line brakes at the time. It had a Nissan master cylinder, radial master cylinder. It had radio mounted brakes. The brakes on that bike were amazing. And to get onto this bike, it felt like a downgrade. But as soon as I switched the pads, I couldn't tell the difference. Now for the pros, there's a lot of them. The bike is really compact and nimble. And probably the biggest pro is how torquey it is. This thing is a torque monster. You can be in 6th gear and do pulls all day. It's also a great city bike. As you can see in my previous videos, most of my riding is in the city, and I have no problem getting around. With the nimbleness and the torque, it's a perfect city bike. One of the best pros is reliability. I had zero issues. Again, my bike has close to 40,000 miles. I think it has 37,000 miles. I keep up with the light maintenance, but when I have to bring it to the dealer, I'm not too worried because it's pretty cheap. I got my valves done at 27,000 miles, and I think I paid $300. It was nothing. With my Street Triple, it cost me $900. And as you know, part availability is excellent. It's a Yamaha. They sell it everywhere. They have multiple dealers everywhere. The only issue I had was, I guess it was a common issue for the XSR, is when you turn the key too slowly, it trips something and it causes the engine light to come on. But nothing was of it. I brought it to the dealer. They said it was a malfunction, and whenever it happens again, if it ever happens, which it never did, just bring it to the dealer and they'll take it off. Handling is great on the bike. Obviously, I use it for the street, city riding. It's also great in the canyons, if not better in the canyons. I try to take it up as much as I can. I feel like the bike likes to be in the middle to the high RPM. So when you're up in the mountain, you're not taking it easy. You're pushing it a little bit, and it smooths out everything. And transitioning from side to side, it's excellent. It's really nimble. It's especially handy to have all that torque on hand when you're up there. You want to just rip the throttle, come out a corner as hard as you can. Perfect. The bike stock comes at 112 horsepower and 62 pounds of torque. Now, if you get the acro pipe and a tune, that bumps it up to 115 with 64 pounds of torque. It doesn't sound like a lot, but what it does do is it smooths out the throttle tremendously. It makes the bike feel like it should when it came out the showroom. I recently just got the pipe, and the difference that I feel is incredible. And it also gives it that amazing sound. Which leads us to our next category, the modifications that I've done so far. So I haven't did a lot, but the mods that I did do is I put a set of Rizoma bars. The stock bars are a little too high for me. I like to have a more aggressive stance. I also put the dark screen on, which is obviously all for looks because it doesn't offer any wind protection. I put a set of New Rage Cycles LED taillight slash tail tidy. I also bought the 360 fork LED front turning signals, which they're all right. And as you can tell, I bought the Kropovich exhaust, and I got my tune with Ivan's Tuning, which worked out because they just moved to South Carolina from New York, and I got them basically the last couple of months before they moved. I bought my number plates from Motodemic, which were way overpriced, and then 2 weeks after I bought the Motodemic ones, they came out with some Chinese one on eBay. I should have just waited. The last of the mods, I bought a arcade chain with the Super Sprox rear sprocket, and then I put on the original OEM front sprocket. Apparently it helps the vibration. This is my second set of chain and sprockets. They last me about 15,000 miles. As for the tires, they come with Bridgestone's S20s, and they're alright. They weren't nothing to be impressed about. I basically used them until they were done, and then that's it. But what I did put on was Pirelli Angel GT2s. They heat up really quick. They're a sport touring tire. The most I ever got out of them were about 12,000 miles. Again, 12,000 miles out of a set. Touring on the bike is not bad either. I just did a 2,400 mile trip to North Carolina and back. The bike held up just fine. With that bike on those twisty roads over there, it felt amazing. I was using hippo hands, hand guards, and Airhawk seat. But the biggest difference was the cheapest. I bought a windshield extension that blocked 90% of the wind. It made the ride back home so much easier and peaceful. Overall, this is a great bike. I'd recommend it to anybody who's thinking about getting it. Or even if you're on the fence about it, just take it out for a test ride. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but it does grow on you, and you learn to love it. I was thinking about buying other bikes in the same category, but I can't get rid of it. So if that's the case, it's going to stay. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.